Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are strapping in for a journey right into the heart of classical Chinese mythology. We're talking Feng Shunyani, the investiture of the gods, and this, well, incredibly chaotic war.
Oh, it's more than just a war story. This is the celestial conflict. It basically set up the whole divine world structure we see later. And right in the middle of it all, there's this one figure, Jinling Shengmu, the golden spirit mother. So powerful, so, I guess, destructive.
Right, she's legendary just for how much effort it took to finally stop her. Divine intervention level effort.
Exactly.
She really was a heavyweight champion in this mythological realm. Our sources, they paint this picture of, well, almost unrivaled dominance. So our mission today, cut through the massive cast list, the complex battles, and really get to grips with three key things about her.
Her power source, right?
Yes, the source of her power, that unbelievable battlefield record, and maybe most importantly, why her story, this story about inescapable fate, still feels so potent.
Okay, so when you're measuring power and function, you have to look at two things. Hierarchy and, well, what they can actually do. Jinling Shengmu. Her importance is clear right away because she wasn't just some powerful immortal. She was absolutely central to her side's whole approach.
Okay, let's dig into that status first. Where does Jinling Shengmu actually sit in this divine pecking order? Because in these epics, who you train with, that matters a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It basically guarantees your standing. And she was one of the 4 major disciples directly under the big boss of the interception school, the chief of heaven, Tongtian Jiaozhu.
One of the top 4, under the supreme leader.
Yes. That means she got the best training, the deepest understanding of Taoist practice, directly from the highest authority in her school.
So she's immediately top tier, like a general in this massive spiritual war, commands respect, probably resources too.
Precisely. Her school was the interception school, the Jijiao, based out on Jinao Island. And look, she wasn't just any female immortal there. She was right up there with the most eminent figures like Wudang Shengmu, functionally. She was the top female fighter for the Jijiao.
Okay, that sets the scene perfectly. But, you know, raw status isn't always enough in these stories. Power needs an anchor, right? Some weapon, some artifact that can just completely change the game in a cosmic battle. What was her secret weapon? What made her so devastatingly effective?
Well, her own personal spiritual attainment, her deoxing, was definitely profound, no question. But her battlefield dominance, that came down almost entirely to one, frankly, terrifying artifact. The Primordial Golden Dipper. The Hunyuan Jindou.
Primordial Golden Dipper. Even the name sounds ominous. Ancient power, chaotic maybe. Yeah. How did it work? Was it like a sword or something? Trickier.
Much, much trickier. Its main function is to collect and absorb basically everything. Spiritual energy, physical bodies, even the spiritual foundation, the deoxing of whoever it targets.
Okay, absorb.
Yeah.
Well, then what?
Here's the really horrifying part. Anything caught inside, and this is key, is guaranteed to turn into blood water.
Wait, you mean guaranteed, like 100% certainty. It's not about skill or luck or power levels.
Exactly. That's what the sources really drive home. It's an absolute, total, gruesome disintegration.
So facing her isn't even a fight. It's just this inevitable, horrible end.
Pretty much. It doesn't just destroy the body. It wipes out all that hard-earned spiritual cultivation. Imagine thousands of years of practice. Just dissolved, gone. For these immortal beings, that result is, well, the sources say, virtually insurmountable, almost unresolvable by normal means. This single artifact is why she was so feared.
That makes her an absolute battlefield nightmare. Facing her isn't about winning, it's about avoiding the Dipper at all costs. Okay, we need the proof now.
Yeah.
Let's look at her actual record, her scorecard during the Fengshan War. Her side, the Jijiao, backed King Zhu against the Zhou dynasty, and the Chan Jiao, the interpretation school.
And her record is just staggering. It totally backs up the Dipper's power. Our sources really stress this point. She was the only figure who could completely shut down the 12 Golden Immortals of the interpretation school.
Hold on. The 12 Golden Immortals, that whole group, they were the elite, right?
Yeah.
The core command structure, the Emmy side. How could one person suppress all of them?
Single-handedly, yes, because it wasn't really a fight in the usual sense. It was more like a rout, all thanks to the Dipper. Think about it. Yeah. These incredibly powerful immortals, beings who could, move mountains, suddenly they're facing not a weapon they can maybe block or parry, but this vessel. This thing that promises instant, inescapable dissolution.
Wow.
She used it to capture some really high-ranking figures, big names like Huanglong Zhenren and Zhu Lu Sun. Scoop them up.
So it became a psychological weapon, too. If you know this artifact guarantees you turn into, well, blood water,
Yeah.
Even the toughest, most experienced immortal is going to hesitate. Their entire existence is on the line.
Absolutely. That fear was palpable. Her power became so renowned that even Wang Zhengzi, a really powerful veteran immortal on the other side, someone you'd expect to lead the charge, even he dared not confront her directly.
He avoided her.
Deliberately. That cemented her reputation, not just as a strong female fighter, but as one of the most dangerous beings on the entire battlefield, period. Didn't matter who you were, she was inescapable doom.
That fear factor. It says everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
She was this immovable object, the ultimate symbol of the Jijiao's power, which of course leads to the big question, the paradox. If she's that powerful, wielding this inescapable weapon, how on earth was she defeated? This must be where destiny or something bigger steps in.
It absolutely is. Her defeat wasn't about being outfought by her peers. No single immortal rival could take her down. It required intervention from the very top, a cosmic-level response focused entirely on neutralizing that Golden Dipper.
Okay, so who? Who actually had to get involved to break this cycle of, well, utter destruction she represented?
We're talking the absolute highest levels of the divine hierarchy. Yuanshi Tianzun, the primordial heavenly venerable, basically the supreme leader of the opposing school, he had to personally oversee the whole operation. And he didn't come alone. He sent the ancient divine beasts from Kunlun Mountain, and he brought in the lamplighting Taoist, Ran Dengdao Ren, another incredibly powerful figure.
So it wasn't a duel. It was a full-scale strategic assault specifically targeting her weapon's power.
Exactly. They had to dismantle the principle of the weapon, overwhelm its ability to enforce that guaranteed outcome.
You know, in a way, that makes her defeat almost more impressive than any victory could be. She lost, yes, but it took the highest god, divine beasts, and another top-tier immortal working together just to break her.
That's a great way to put it. And she died fighting fiercely. She wasn't captured, wasn't shamed. She was simply overwhelmed by forces representing the absolute peak of cosmic order. And this is where her story takes another turn, becoming quite philosophical.
Right, because death in Fengxinyanyi often isn't the end, is it? It leads to this new enshrined role. So what happened to her after this massive high-stakes defeat?
That's correct. Even though she fought for the losing side, the side opposing the ultimate victors, she was still placed on the investiture of the gods list. Jiang Ziya himself did it. She received the formal elevated title Jinling Shengmu and was officially established as an immortal figure deserving of mortal worship.
Okay, enshrined, worshipped. But the really deep part, the thing that defines her legacy, seems to be that weapon, the Golden Dipper. It takes on this huge symbolic weight, doesn't it?
It really does. The Hunyuan Jindou becomes the central philosophical symbol of her whole story. It perfectly represents the cycle of causality, Yingguo Shanwan, the act of trapping people, dissolving them. It embodies this idea that tribulation, or jishu, is inescapable.
Let's pause on Jishu for a second. That term means something like an inevitable calamity, a fated trial you just can't dodge.
Exactly that. Jishu is the preordained test, the consequence that has to happen, the debt that must be paid. Jinling Shengmu's weapon was like karma made manifest. You entered her sphere of influence, you faced your Jishu, delivered by the Dipper.
She literally wielded inescapable fate against her enemies.
She did, and yet, think about this. Her own fate, her Jishu, required the highest deity in the cosmos to personally intervene and break the very cycle she represented.
That is a fascinating paradox.
Yeah.
The enforcer of inescapable fate needed an external force to impose fate upon her.
It's the ultimate comment on the story's themes, really. Her power was so absolute, so outside the normal rules that the standard cycle of causality couldn't contain her. It took Yuanshi Tianzun stepping outside that cycle to break her influence, ultimately subjecting her to her own kind of inescapable destiny.
So, moving beyond the battlefield tactics and the deep philosophy,
Yeah.
what does Jinling Shengmu represent for people today, for readers or maybe followers of Taoist mythology?
Well, primarily, she represents the absolute pinnacle of strength for female disciples within the Jijiao. She completely demolishes any idea that female characters in this epic were just secondary or, support roles.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't fit the mold of the gentle, passive female immortal you sometimes see in mythology.
Not at all. The sources are clear. Her persona was fierce, decisive, brave. She was a commander on the front lines. Ruthless efficiency, strategic thinking. She's proof that, in this divine world at least, spiritual power and combat ability have nothing to do with conventional gender roles.
And her story didn't just end with the book, right? She still has a presence today.
She does. In folk religion, her legend ensures she's remembered. She's revered in some Taoist traditions as a protective goddess, a Hufanushan. Her powerful, decisive nature means she continues to receive mortal incense. Her influence is still felt.
It's quite a journey we've traced then, from this top disciple under the chief of heaven,
Wielding that terrifying weapon of consequence.
to becoming a warrior so fierce, her defeat needed the highest gods to step in.
And finally being enshrined, becoming this lasting symbol, not just of power, but of causality, of fate, and how even inescapable cycles might sometimes be broken.
It really makes you think.
It does, and it raises a crucial point for anyone looking at myths and destiny. Jinling Shengmu's story demonstrates that ultimate power, in these old narratives, it's rarely just about raw strength. It's always tied up with these bigger forces, destiny, karma, causality. She was the one enforcing inescapable fate until, well, fate wasn't forced on her by an even greater power.
Indeed. So here's something for you to maybe mull over today. If that Golden Dipper really represents Jishu, that absolute unavoidable cycle of consequence, what does it truly signify that the primordial heavenly venerable, the highest deity, had to personally bring in divine beasts and immense power just to break that cycle? What kind of external force, if any, can genuinely transcend or escape the weight of consequence, the pull of preordained tribulation? That's a deep one to ponder until our next deep dive.